was the 31st of January 2018. It's Wednesday, 31st of January 2018, and this is a supermoon. It's a blue moon because it's the second full moon of the month in the one calendar month, which is today's common definition of a blue moon. And as my camera starts to focus, it's also a blood moon because there's a total lunar eclipse tonight, which means the Earth's shadow is passing over the full moon. Here we go. My camera has focused. And this is like one of the dates that I've flagged as a date to watch, and I didn't know when I flagged today, I didn't know it was the date of the eclipse. I flagged it because it's the 31st, and the name Jacob, J-A-C-O-B, equals 31. I've connected Jacob Wetterling to the moon before, full moons. And I've listed quite a few dates as part of a prophecy. And those dates, and it's the prophecy of Jacob and also Nathan. Nathan Breeze is an Australian boy. Jacob Wetterling is an American boy from Minnesota. Nathan Breeze is from Victoria or from the Northern Territory, depending how you look at it. Nathan was a frequent visitor to Darwin. He was 13. Jacob was 11. And the dates that I flagged so far were Wednesday, the 6th of December, 2017. Turned out to be the date when the Thomas Fire in Southern California roared into Ventura, into suburbia, and destroyed a lot of homes. And not just the Thomas Fire, but a lot of other wildfires too on that date, December 6th. I flagged that date because it was the anniversary of something that happened to me when I was 13. I was approached by a stranger at Western Park in Canberra when I was 13 years old, and that was on December 6th. Also a Wednesday, December 6, 1989. So I flagged that date. Then Friday, the 22nd of December, was the next date I flagged. I flagged that date because, firstly, because it was 16 days after the 6th, and I saw some significance in that. Was also the birthday of Ebony Simpson. Ebony Jane Simpson, who was an Australian schoolgirl who was murdered aged 9, and that was on Wednesday the 19th of August 1992. So Ebony's birthday last year fell on Friday, the 22nd of December. That happened to be the date, as it turned out, when the Thomas Fire became the biggest fire in the history of California. Even though it was getting toward the end of its life and was largely contained, it became California's biggest fire on December 22. And what else happened on December 22? That's right. There was a meteor made a sonic boom over Canberra, ACT, Australia, and surrounding areas of New South Wales, including Murrumbateman, yes, that area. And that was at 9:26 p.m. on Friday, December 22, 2017. And another thing that happened on that day was the most deadly storm of the 2017 Western Pacific typhoon season. It wasn't actually a typhoon, it was Tropical Storm Tenbin. Hit the southern Philippines, and the death toll was in the hundreds. This eclipse is progressing pretty quickly. This is cool. So that was on December 22 as well. And going back to December 6, that was when Donald Trump made his announcement that he was recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. America decided to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And what I thought might have been going to happen on December 6th, which I kind of mentioned in some of my videos, I thought a storm might have been going to hit Vaucluse in Sydney. Vaucluse is actually a very Jewish suburb in Sydney. Very wealthy suburb too. And I have a feeling the guy who approached me when I was 13, I think he bought a house in Vaucluse. I think that because I had a dream that I was standing at the bottom of a cliff in Sydney, and there was a house somewhere above a wooden paling fence at the top of the cliff, and I knew I was in Sydney, and I eventually went to Sydney and looked at a lot of maps, and I worked out the place where my dream was Vaucluse. Diamond Bay. Rosa Gully. Diamond Bay, Vaucluse, Sydney. So there was a storm did go over Vaucluse, over Sydney that day too, December 6th. But it wasn't like a superstorm or anything. It was just a thunderstorm, fairly fast moving thunderstorm. Donald Trump announced that he was recognizing Jerusalem as the capital city of Israel, a Jewish connection. So then December 22, the meteor, Tropical Storm Tenbin, and the Thomas Fire, the biggest fire in Californian history. The next date I flagged was Sunday, January 7, 2018. The birthday of a boy I used to work with, who was actually Jewish. I guess maybe there'd be a volcanic eruption that day, and as far as I knew, the date came and went without any volcanic stuff happening. It was the hottest day in Penrith's history on January 7, Sunday, January 7, 2018. It got to 47.3 degrees in Penrith that day, which was the second hottest temperature ever recorded in the Sydney Basin. One of the hottest days ever seen in New South Wales, especially that part of New South Wales. The hottest since 1939, since the Black Friday bushfires, actually. Although I'm pretty sure the really hot day in New South Wales was the day after Black Friday. I think it was Saturday the 14th of January 1939. I later found out that a volcano did erupt on January 6th in Papua New Guinea. Kadavar. And it was a volcano that was thought to be dormant, had never gone off before in human memory. It erupted on January 6th. And a few thousand people had to evacuate from the island as a result, the island of Kadavar and Beam Island, which is nearby. So January 7 was the date I had flagged, and also on January 6th, the Saturday, Tropical Cyclone Irving formed in the Indian Ocean out near Cocos Island. Quite a tricky cyclone, trickster cyclone, because Irving formed in Australian waters but only just, and then moved out of Australian waters. So it was listed as a tropical cyclone, named as a tropical cyclone by the Australian Bureau of Meteorology, but then left Australian waters and therefore dropped off the radar. Yet it became a Category 3, so a severe tropical cyclone, and lasted a few days, lasted till the 10th. But then when the next cyclone formed off Australian waters, which was Joyce, the Weather Channel thought it was going to be named Irving because they weren't aware that Irving had taken place. Because of Irving's location, it was so far from Australia. Like I said, a trickster cyclone, a prankster cyclone. Jacob and Nathan were pranksters, practical jokers. Irving, a reflection of the boy who told me back in 2014 that Wetterling means weather child. The sneaky boy. The boy who turned 14 on Sunday, January 7, the hottest day in Penrith's history, which is only about 20 years, but still the second hottest day in the history of the Sydney Basin, which is a lot longer. He's the rude boy. I called him the rude boy because he once compared tornadoes to, you can probably guess what. Something rude. And it wasn't a moon. So, that was January 7. The next date I flagged was January 23. The 23rd of January. And the 23rd of January ended up coinciding with two volcanic eruptions, one in Japan, and that was a pretty bad one. It injured quite a few people, killed one person, skiers, and there was another volcanic eruption in the Philippines. Mount Mayon erupted in a big way. It erupted on the 22nd, and the eruption continued into the early morning hours of the 23rd. A big eruption at Mount Mayon in the Philippines. Then an earthquake hit actually in the Bay of Alaska, off the Alaska coast. That was 7.9 on the 7.9 magnitude, or 7.9 on the Richter scale, and that's pretty powerful. So it generated, there were tsunami warnings issued for that, including for Hawaii, but no major tsunami happened. And then there was a 6.1 magnitude earthquake off Java, Indonesia, which rattled Jakarta. So that was the 23rd of January. Then the 27th of January, the day after Australia Day, which was Saturday, well, that was the day I filmed the amazing rainbow and the amazing sunset. And that really was amazing. And that was on my way home from visiting my nephew at the hospital. So my nephew fell off a motorbike and broke his leg the day before Australia Day. The moon's nearly gone, people. There's going to be nothing for my camera to focus on soon. So that was Saturday, the 27th. And then the next date I flagged, and I flagged that one simply because Jake equals 27. And then the next date I flagged was today, the 31st. Wednesday, 31st of January 2018. I did not know there was a lunar eclipse tonight. But there you go. It's nearly gone. The moon is almost gone. I can't see much at all with my naked eye now, just a little tiny bronze colored bit of moon. Hardly even that. So this video is about to end, and that's all the dates I've flagged so far. The next 3 dates are Wednesday, the 7th of February 2018, the anniversary of the Black Saturday bushfires. It'll be 9 years, and that's how Nathan died. He died in that disaster. 13-year-old Nathan Breeze from Kinglake West in Victoria. A frequent visitor to Darwin in the Northern Territory, which currently flooded. Daly River was evacuated. Wow, this is just amazing. The cloud is making it look like, oh my goodness. So, Wednesday the 7th of February 2018 is the next date that I'm flagging, and then after that, 9 days later, Friday the 16th of February 2018. It's the anniversary of Ash Wednesday, but it falls on a Friday, and the anniversary of Black Saturday falls on a Wednesday. 9 days in between. It's 9 years this year since Black Saturday. This eclipse is an omen. It's part of a prophecy. It's a bit of a dark prophecy, I suppose. Blood moon, blue moon, supermoon. there's a message behind this. It's a message against climate change denial, that attitude of arrogance and ignorance that's endangering so many lives today. That arrogance that is symbolized and embodied and represented by Donald Trump and elected policymakers and lawmakers like Australia's Peter Dutton, Minister for Immigration and Border Protection, a man who I regard as being a bully, a discriminator, a liar, a guy who likes to stigmatize people, demonize people who come from certain countries and certain parts of the world. Nathan and Jacob don't like people like that. People who like having power over others. No, they don't like that. People who deny climate change. Nathan really doesn't like that at all. He goes to the moon. It's a message, you know. There's a message behind this prophecy, and the last date is the date of my best friend, who I was cut off from actually by Peter Dutton's department. My best friend was born on Saturday, the 9th of March, 1991, and he's turning 27 this year. He's turning 27 on Friday, the 9th of March, 2018. 27. The value of the name Jake. The value of the word code. Code red by Jake. MN, Minnesota. Equals 27. My best friend is turning 27. I was born on the 27th. 27th of April. The moon's disappearing. You've heard the prophecy of the boys. You know what it's about. You know why it's dark. Good night.